So have you had the chance to pick up your very own Soulja game handheld yet? Well, you better hurry if you want to get one because it might not be up very long. In case you're unfamiliar with this story, here's the Cliff's Notes version of it. Rapper Soulja Boy, better known for his 2007 hit Crank That, which, not my cup of tea, and apparently I got a lot of flack in my last video about this. People took me to task for hating on Soulja Boy, which I don't think I did. If anything, I hated on his name, which I insisted on mispronouncing. A lot more people watched that video than my usual stuff, so I was understandably criticized for pronouncing Soulja like Soulja. You can tell that this YouTuber has no urban friends. Urban friends? Odd choice of words. He pronounces Soulja Boy's name with his Caucasian pronunciation, shake my head. That's actually my Brazilian pronunciation. English isn't my first language, so there you go. Sometimes I don't have much of an accent because I've been living in Canada for the last 15 years, but every now and again, you can tell, and that's one of those instances. Anyway, going back to the story. Soulja Boy, I'm making a point to say it right this time, set up a website called SouljaWatch.com where he's selling a bunch of, effectively, Chinese knockoffs. And I want to make one thing clear. I'm not against cheap Chinese tech. I review a lot of that stuff on both my channels, and I have a lot of that stuff around here. Some of them that I actually use. Obviously the point of criticism here was the fact that he's a well-known celebrity who's essentially selling copyrighted material that he clearly doesn't have the authorization to do. That's why the story is kind of funny. I was accused of a lot of things, and I just want to make that clear. I'm not hating on the guy or anything like that. It's just he's doing something that very obviously is going to get him into some serious trouble. Now, Soulja Boy has been pretty unapologetic about the whole thing. He boasted about selling $250,000 worth of product on his website, which is a success, of course. And then he put out a second console that cost $400 because, I mean, why stop now? Obviously. Well, there may very well be a good reason to stop. According to MTO News, Soulja might actually face prison time over these fake consoles. I'm gonna read you the story. Soulja Boy has reportedly been contacted by Nintendo, who is threatening to press criminal charges against the Crank That rapper, MTO News has confirmed. Soulja Boy began selling a new game console to fans for $100 2 weeks ago, but the console is believed to contain copyrighted games owned by Nintendo. In the letter that was sent to Soulja Boy, Nintendo's team suggested that selling the game console may violate the Trademark Counterfeiting Act, and that if it can be proven that he violated the law, Soulja Boy may be subject to substantial prison time. How much jail time? Well, according to the Trademark Counterfeiting Act, imprisonment for the first offense up to 10 years and up to 20 years for repeat offenders. Now, I have to say this right here, right now, because I'm noticing a lot of people who are running this story haven't added this disclaimer. MTO News, which is a news website I never heard of before, is not offering any sort of source to this. And in fact, the article seems pretty poorly written with some spelling mistakes and things like that. So we can't put too much stock into this. So that means you have to take what's written here with a grain of salt. Now, it's not a stretch to think that Nintendo would go through such lengths to prevent copyright infringement of their work. As we saw very recently, Nintendo is taking a hardline stance against people who are pirating their content. And it's one thing to offer these ROMs for download, and they went after the people who did that. What Soulja is doing here is actually worse. He's effectively selling people Nintendo games. So though this very well may be fake news, I haven't seen any more confirmation. Everybody who's talking about this story is linking back to this article. So you know how you can't believe everything you read on the internet, of course. But this is not really that far-fetched. So I guess that's why people are kind of taking it at face value. Now, obviously, I don't have to tell you that that store is a very, very bad idea. Now, some people said, you know, Soulja is not doing anything that bad. He just set up a drop shipping website. He most likely doesn't have a whole bunch of these things stored somewhere. It's just a drop shipping website. And for those who don't know, drop shipping is basically setting up a virtual storefront that fulfills orders from other places. Like there's a Chinese wholesale supplier. and they deal to websites and things like that, people who buy in bulk. So what Soulja Boy is doing, according to some people, is setting up a website that automates the process. Basically, he's just a middleman between you and the Chinese wholesale supplier that has a whole bunch of these things somewhere. We don't know 100% for sure that that's what he's doing, but it very well may be. It's worth noting that a lot of these Chinese products, this is very common for a manufacturer to put these things out and then other brands just slap their brands on them and sell them. So what he's doing is, I'll give you that, it's not that outrageous, it's not that unheard of. It's just a problem because it's one thing for you to sell cheap Bluetooth headphones or cell phones or something like that. If his website was just that, the tablet, the cell phone, the headphones, this wouldn't be a problem. It became a problem because he's selling copyrighted material, those ROMs in those systems. It's a matter of time before he gets shut down. Whether or not he can see prison time for this, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't tell you. But he's definitely not putting himself in a good legal spot. Nintendo is out to protect their intellectual property. Just recently, they took people to court for selling modded Switches. So obviously, protecting their games, protecting their intellectual property is a high priority for them, in a way that I haven't seen in a very long time. They've tried to shut these things down in the past, but it seems like this time it's a more concerted effort. And I don't think they'll make an exception for a rapper selling cheap Chinese Game Boy knockoffs. So, Soulja, and I still hold that your real name, DeAndre Way, is way cooler than Soulja Boy. And plus, it's original because, as we all know, you kind of took that from somebody else. If you really did make that 250K, don't go spending it just yet. You might need to hire a lawyer or two very soon. I would be incredibly surprised if Nintendo does nothing about this. So, yeah, get that lawyer on speed dial. But what do you think about this story? I got a lot more hate than I expected in my first video about this story. Apparently Soulja Boy has a lot more fans than I gave him credit for, so I guess props to him. A lot of people also gave me trouble for not showing the Soulja game handheld in my previous video because I don't have one. I guess I didn't make that clear enough, but these things right here, which I have here, these are Revo K101 Pluses. They're not the Soulja game handheld. What he's selling is something that looks like this, but has a different OS. So it's not quite the same thing. It's a knockoff of a knockoff. I have a full video coming out on this thing, so just be a little bit patient, but I can show you a little bit here. This is, like I said, not the exact same device that Soulja Boy is selling. This is the Revo K101 Plus. What he's selling by all accounts is the RS97, also known as the Cool Retro or Cool Baby. It depends on whoever's selling it. Like I mentioned in the video, it's common for manufacturers to just make these things and then for brands to just pick it up and slap their own logos on it and sell it at a markup. This thing right here is reportedly actually better than the RS97, though I have no experience with it, so I can't tell you. As you can see, there are some, oh, where did I go? As you can see, there are some ROMs there, but like I mentioned in the video, let me turn this thing off. It has an actual GBA cartridge slots. This thing right here is effectively a flash card. There is a micro SD card right there, but it only works on this thing right here. It doesn't work on actual GBAs. And I have a full video. This thing's so dusty. I have a full video on this thing coming up on the channel very soon, so stay tuned. But I wanted to show you because you guys give me so much trouble over not showing the games running on this thing. Fine, I'll boot something up. Wait a second. Oh. I was supposed to hold on to that. Crap. There, you guys are happy now? But that's it. Let me know in the comments what you think about this developing story. And again, like I said in the very beginning, this could very well be fake news. It's not surprising that this would happen, but this is the only website running this right now. I see no other sources, so it might just be fake. Why don't I even make this video? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I would be so happy if you did. Leave a like, that also helps the channel like crazy. Tell me where you're from. I'm always psyched to hear where you guys are watching these videos from. Follow me on social media. I'm trying to raise my Instagram game a little bit, so go check that out. I post pictures of my collections and behind the scenes stuff. Maybe you're into that. Maybe you're not. I don't know. Oh, hey, I almost forgot. 99 Vidas, my indie game based on my Brazilian gaming podcast of the same name, is now available on the Switch, which is my favorite way to play the game. 99 Vidas, which by the way means
means 99 lives in Portuguese, is a 16-bit inspired street brawler in the style of classics like Captain Commando or Streets of Rage. There are tons of unlockable characters, bonus levels, challenging boss fights, there's an online mode. We put a lot of thought and work into 99 Vidas, and I think you will find that it shows. I did my own voice acting and everything. I mean, obviously I'm biased, but the soundtrack on this thing alone is worth the price of admission in my opinion. Just like every other Switch fan out there, we hate the so-called Switch tax, where indie games land on the eShop with a higher price point than their Steam versions. So 99 Vidas is actually cheaper on the Switch than on Steam right now, only $10. And hey, don't just take my word for it, there's a demo for you to try it free. So go to the eShop right now and download 99 Vidas.
And that's all the time I have for today. I'm Izzy and I'm done.